Vegetarianism in Religion, the Prohibition of Animal Flesh Eating. Part 4. The Essenes. Let not a man make himself abominable with any living creature or creeping thing by eating of them. The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Thou hast created plants for the service of man, and all things that spring from the earth, that he may be fed in abundance. Hymns of the Initiates.
God giveth the grains and fruits of the earth for food, and for righteous man truly there is no other lawful sustenance for the body. The Gospel of the Holy 12.
And Jesus said unto them, Verily I say unto you, they who partake of benefits which are gotten by wronging one of God's creatures cannot be righteous, nor can they touch holy things, or teach the mysteries of the kingdom, whose hands are stained with blood, or whose mouths are defiled with flesh. The Gospel of the Holy 12.
Not by shedding innocent blood, therefore, but by living a righteous life shall ye find the peace of God. The Gospel of the Holy 12.
I am come to end the sacrifices and feast of blood, and if ye cease not offering and eating of flesh and blood, the wrath of God shall not cease from you. The Gospel of the Holy 12.
For I tell you truly, he who kills, kills himself, and who eats the flesh of slain beasts, eats of the body of death. For in his blood every drop of their blood turns to poison, in his breath their breath to stink, in his flesh their flesh to boils, in his bones their bones to chalk, and their death will become his death. The Essene Gospel of Peace.
Kill not, neither eat the flesh of your innocent prey, lest you become the slaves of Satan. For that is the path of sufferings, and it leads unto death. But do the will of God, that his angels may serve you on the way of life. The Essene Gospel of Peace.
And eating of their flesh, and drinking of their blood, to their own destruction corrupted their bodies and shortened their days. The Gospel of the Holy 12.
God in the beginning gave to man the fruits of the earth for food, and did not make him lower than the ape, or the ox, or the horse, or the sheep, so low that he should kill and eat the flesh and blood of his fellow creatures. The Gospel of the Holy 12.
Of that which ye offer unto God in purity shall ye eat, but of that kind which ye offer not in purity shall ye not eat, for the hour cometh, when your sacrifices and feasts of blood shall cease. The Gospel of the Holy 12.
Behold the fields yielding their increase, and the fruit-bearing trees and the herbs. Woe to the strong who misuse their strength. Woe to the hunters, for they shall be hunted. The Gospel of the Holy 12.
And the rain-washed naked throngs came before them, God and the Holy Brotherhood, trembling to receive their judgment. For their sins were many, and they had defiled the earth. Yea, they had destroyed the creatures of the land and sea, poisoned the ground, fouled the air. The Essene Book of Revelation.
Hinduism. You must not use your God-given body for killing God's creatures, whether they are human, animal, or whatever. Yajurveda.
By not killing any living being, one becomes fit for salvation. Manusmriti.
The purchaser of flesh performs himsa by his wealth. He who eats flesh does so by enjoying its taste. The killer does himsa by actually tying and killing the animal. Thus there are three forms of killing. He who brings flesh or sends for it, he who cuts off the limbs of an animal, and he who purchases, sells, or cooks flesh and eats it. All of these are to be considered meat eaters. Himsa means violence. Mahabharata Anusasana Parva.
He who desires to attain supreme peace should on no account eat the flesh of any animal in the world. Mahabharata Anushasana Parva.
Flesh cannot be obtained without killing creatures, and heaven cannot be attained if creatures are killed. Therefore, flesh should be discarded. Manusmriti.
He who gives counsel or order to kill, he who cuts off any limb, he who actually puts an animal to death, the purchaser of flesh, and he who eats flesh, all of these are to be styled as killers. Manusmriti.
That creature whose flesh I eat in this world would eat mine in the next world. Manusmriti.
Meat eaters take repeated births in various wombs and are put every time to unnatural death through forcible suffocation. After every death, they go to the Kumvikpak, hell, where they are baked on fire. Mahabharata Anushasana Parva.
The sins generated by himsa curtail the life of the perpetrator of himsa. Therefore, those who are anxious for their welfare should abstain from meat eating. Himsa means violence. Mahabharata Anusasana Parva.
Those who for their personal pleasure take the life of harmless creatures do not attain happiness in this life or in the life hereafter. In view of the method through which flesh is acquired, and considering the suffering to creatures in fastening with cord and killing them, man should give up meat eating of all sorts. Manusmriti.
Prajapati says that eating meat of any sort is a great evil, and abstinence from doing so is highly meritorious. Yamasmriti.
He who desires to augment his own flesh by eating the flesh of other creatures lives in misery, in whatever species of beings he may take his birth. Mahabharata Unashasana Parva.
O child, there is no doubt about this fact, that flesh grows out of semen. Therefore it is highly detestable. Flesh eating is thus a great evil, and abstinence from it is a virtue. Mahabharata Anusasana Parva.
He who abstains from flesh-eating and is kindly disposed towards all creatures becomes an object of shelter to them and gains their confidence. Mahabharata.
The virtue gained by abstinence from meat eating is so great that it cannot be equaled by the virtue of making gifts of even gold, cow, or land. Mahabharata Anusasana Parva.
What is the good way? It is the path that reflects on how it may avoid killing any creature. Tirukural.
All that lives will press palms together in prayerful adoration of those who refuse to slaughter and savor meat. Tirukural.
What is virtuous conduct? It is never destroying life, for killing leads to every other sin. Tirukural.
Those who are ignorant of real dharma and though wicked and haughty, account themselves virtuous, kill animals without any feeling of remorse or fear of punishment. Further, in their next lives, such sinful persons will be eaten by the same creatures they have killed in this world. Dharma means true teaching. Srimad Bhagavatam.
Meat can never be obtained without injury to living creatures, and injury to sentient beings is detrimental to the attainment of heavenly bliss. Let him therefore shun the use of meat, having well considered the disgusting origin of flesh and the cruelty of fettering and slaying corporal beings. Let him entirely abstain from eating flesh. Manu Samhita.
He who permits the slaughter of an animal, he who cuts it up, he who kills it, he who buys or sells meat, he who cooks it, he who serves it up, and he who eats it must all be considered as the slayers of the animal. There is no greater sinner than that man who seeks to increase the bulk of his own flesh by the flesh of other beings. Manu Samhita.
By subsisting on pure fruits and roots, and by eating food fit for ascetics in the forest, one does not gain so great a reward as by entirely avoiding the use of flesh. He will devour me in the next world, whose flesh I eat in this life. The wise declare this to be the real meaning of the word flesh. Manu Samhita.
By not killing any living being, one becomes fit for salvation. Manu Samhita.
The sins generated by violence curtail the life of the perpetrator. Therefore, even those who are anxious for their own welfare should abstain from meat eating. Mahabharata Anushasana Parva.
Cow killers are condemned to rot in hellish life for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of the cow. Adilila.
Since you cannot bring killed animals back to life, you are responsible for killing them. Therefore, you are going to hell. There is no way for your deliverance. Adilila.
The very name of cow is Aganya, indicating that they should never be slaughtered. Who then could slay them? Surely one who kills a cow or a bull commits a heinous crime. Aganya means not to be killed. Mahabharat Shantiparv.
O best of kings! If the things acquired by injuring others be utilized in any auspicious act, they yield contrary results at the time of fruition. Devi Bhagavatam.
Since, O thou of great splendor, the period of life is shortened of persons who slaughter living creatures or cause them to be slaughtered, it is clear that the person who wishes his own good should give up meat entirely. Mahabharata. etc. These are just some examples. For more details, please log on to suprememastertv.com/scrolls.
You see, eating animal flesh means we are decreasing our love in our being from our structure, holy structure. We are born from God. We were holy. We were true human. We were true children of God. But if we eat the animals, then the mixing of blood type and genetic code between human and animals make us lose our status as the crown of creation, as true humans. As pure humans, the children of God, we are under direct connection with the light, with the mighty master power of the commanding center of the universe. We have absolute command over all under heaven because we were pure and were children of God. But as we keep putting different elements into our beings, even physically, it will affect our spiritual structure as well. Because we became mixing, a mixing structure, not pure. We became hybrid, vulnerable to attack from the dark force because we are not pure anymore. Thus, this kind of mixing creature could be annihilated because this mixing creature send very confusing energy, confusing message into the center of the universe. It's not recognized as pure human. So we could be eliminated out of physical realm to be recycled, to be screened out for pureness again, and to be reused. But this process can be very painful and torturous over long periods, could be hundreds of thousands of Earth years. Everybody knows that vegetarian diet is good for health and to save the planet. They will be awakening their own great, compassionate, loving self-nature, and then their level of consciousness will rise up automatically, and they will understand more than they ever did, and they'll be closer to heaven than what they are right now.